Let's talk about Mickey D's, Golden Arches, Arcos Dorados if you're in Latin America. They are down right now by about 0.4% for shares of McDonald's, MCD, after reporting second quarter earnings. With more on this, we bring in Yahoo Finance's Brooke DiPalma. You were on the earnings call, you were listening in. Absolutely. So what do we know about McDonald's earnings?
Yeah, well, really the big headlines here are inflation and the sale of its Russia business really just driving the results here. McDonald's beat earnings per share expectations, but did miss on that revenue line. Of course, global sales, a highlight of this report, up nearly 10% this quarter. While here in the U.S. alone, same-store sales jumped nearly 4%. Now, on that call, executives alluded to the impact of inflation. They said that they expect that impact to go into the rest of this year. Now, I also want to note that higher sales were driven by franchise margins. Approximately 95% of McDonald's restaurants worldwide are owned and operated by those independent business owners, those franchise owners. Now, U.S. sales driven by higher menu price increases. CEO Chris Kempczinski, as well as Kevin, the CFO, as of now, and after this call, it'll be his end of his 30-year tenure there. He alluded to the fact that these menu price increases were up high single digits year over year. Now, he said a little bit higher than last quarter, noting that in the first quarter, I personally want to note that they were up roughly 8%. Now, higher than that still brings us into the high single digits, but they did not give us an exact number there. But they noted that they were a little higher than that. But digital demand, a huge plus for McDonald's here. In the U.S. alone, loyalty members are reached nearly 22 million as of active in the past 90 days. Of course, value and digital offerings. And before I got on air, we were talking a little bit about sort of the price of food away from home, up 7.7%. Price of food at home, up 12% year over year. So executives noting that on the call, saying that lower income households are certainly looking for those cheap, affordable options. Now, interesting enough, drive-through pretty much back to where it was compared to pre-COVID. But the number of people per transaction, we saw a high influx of people wanting to get delivery during COVID. That's now sort of balanced out. They're seeing normal channels open up. Delivery is still a little bit elevated there. But of course, that sale of Russia, that was an incurred cost of about $1.2 billion, but they did in fact gain $271 million related to the sale. Dynamic Yield, of course, that was an AI company. They were hoping would be a greater customer experience there. So lots going on in McDonald's, but these major headwinds certainly taking a toll on the company.
Decent quarter for McDonald's. Also, I would argue showed up in Coca-Cola and perhaps powered them. Of course, obviously McDonald's sells Coca-Cola, but Coca-Cola out here this morning looking for organic sales growth of 12 to 13%. They were at about 7 to 8% previously. So, of course, these companies tend to go hand in glove. In Coca-Cola, about 40% of their sales, annual sales, is tied to that, what they call off-premise or sales at restaurants.
Yeah. So, by the way, with those shares trading lower, it looks like it was a miss on restaurant margins that well, now they're higher again.
The company operating margins were under siege here. So, and they noted in the supplementary filing, there was a lot of pressure because of labor and commodities inflation.
Yes, they talked about labor costs up by 10%. Total restaurant margin 3% in the quarter. It was 8% if you back out currency, which we know has been affecting so many companies, and that apparently was a little below estimates. So
also, too, McDonald's taking a bit of a nab at Coca-Cola this morning. Of course, Jill McDonald returning to McDonald's as their international president there, so it'll be interesting to see.
Costa Coffee, right? That's Coca-Cola's coffee business. That's a big loss for them.
Big loss.
Very big.
Yahoo Finance's own Brooke DiPalma breaking down all things MCD. We're going to keep an eye on shares as we move on throughout the rest of today's session here.